Hi everybody, welcome. I'm so happy to be here in the Firebase Summit. I hope that you're having fun. And today we're gonna talk about using Firebase superpowers for the web to help fight inequality. My name is Laura Morinigo and I'm a current web developer advocate for Samsung Internet. You can find me at This Is Lala OK on Twitter if you want to connect. So let's talk about what I do quickly. So my mission is I work for developers. My mission is to actually research for the best practices and which are the current trends of the web and then share it with the web community. So I think that's something that keeps me connected with the Firebase team because at the end of the day, Firebase help us to actually develop our app faster. And I'm not completely strange to the Firebase Summit because as you can see here, I'm a Firebase Google developer expert too. I'm very happy to be part of this community and hopefully we can see in person soon as we did here in the Firebase Summit Prague 2018. And in the meantime, let's go back to our current topic. Our goal in our team, we have a statement that says, leave the web better than we found it. So what do we do in order to achieve this? We research, but also we try to create cool demos because we need to show you how we can do cool stuff, right? Sometimes we have the chance to work with different team members and also collaborate with other teams in our organization. And we were really lucky to find that there was a current project made by Samsung Global Goals team. The Samsung Global Goals team started a project that is called Samsung Global Goals that is in partnership with the United Nations. This project was made to eliminate hunger, fight inequality, and clean up the planet. Sounds really cool, right? So we have the chance to connect with them, and this current app was originally an Android app. This Android app has more than 1 million downloads currently, and basically what you can do is learn about the goals, donate, and receive the latest news about these 17 global goals. In our case, we were thinking this is a cool scenario to bring it to the web because we believe that the web is a powerful place to help others and to share information. And actually, we started to think like, okay, there is an Android app. Why not reach out to more users that maybe doesn't have an Android app? We know that we already have this Android app that was pretty successful, so we wanted to bring the same platform but to the web. So we decided to have this challenge. Okay, we have a challenge in our team. We were pretty excited. So as you know, if you work in tech, as I'm pretty sure that you do, at the very beginning you have a lot of resources to check and what in order to make a plan and see what you're gonna do next, right? So our resources were what we have were external endpoints and a design guidelines. Besides that, we also have to check with the Samsung Global Goals team what is the current roadmap about the native app. So this sounds pretty cool, but in the other hand, for us it was more it was a demo, but at the same time it was a big project. I mean, the native app currently has 1 million downloads. So our team is not a product team. It's a really small team that is more related with advocacy. So we didn't have much resources, and besides that, we didn't have much resources in terms of hardware, like our own server. We rely in other resources that help us to build apps faster. So that's why we decided to start with a serverless architecture because, again, this was an MVP. And the idea was that if we were able to show that our web app is going to be successful, it's going to work, and it's going to reach more users, we're going to be able to actually share it with the current Samsung Global Goals product team, and they're going to release a proper product and being able to scale that product. So we decided to go with Firebase and a serverless architecture. So we didn't worry about creating our own server or anything like that. We didn't need to host much data also or do a lot of queries. It was pretty simple because we already have the endpoints. Besides that, we have another challenge because we decided to create this as a cross-platform, and we decided to go for a PWA, a progressive web app. If you don't know what a progressive web app is, it's basically a web app that has an experience similar to a native app, and it's cross-platform, and it has different features. Just to give you an idea about the requirements of a PWA, you need to have HTTPS to make it secure, a manifest file, and a service worker. So whatever hosting that we decided to go for, we needed to make sure the first step to have HTTPS. That's where Firebase Hosting helped us. Again, we didn't have to worry much about how we're going to host this project because we needed something quick and faster. And thanks to deciding about Firebase Hosting, this was a good approach because it already had HTTP2, it's already fast, so it covered the basic of having a PWA. Alrighty, so we have Firebase Hosting already, right? And let's see our next challenge. Once that you know the basics, like which are the technologies that you're gonna use, a little bit of the architecture is so important to check. So again, at the very beginning, we were like, okay, this is pretty simple. We don't have to manage any data, so let's do just something that is client-side rendering or it's CSR. So if you don't know what is it, CSR or client-side rendering allows the website to be updated in the browser when navigating to different pages. The content is rendered by the browser, by the way. And these methods require an initial download, heat, and effort to load every resource, as it's doing a lot of round trips to the server. And therefore, the first visit to the web page can be slower, but then after that first load, it turns faster. So we were thinking that it was a good approach, right? We were thinking that. But this was our first problem. We decided to use fetch and to just call our endpoints from the client side because, again, the data that we were using was pretty simple. We were not having any transactions, but this happened. So maybe you know what is it or maybe not, but if you're familiar with this error, it's basically that when you try to call from the client side and an endpoint, in this case we were using fetch, we were not able to use it just because of a matter of permissions. So we again reached out to the team that were doing everything that is related with these endpoints. And they told us that we need a certain kind of security, and we were not able to manage our data from the client side, which were, okay, let's see what is the other solution that we can do, because at the end of the day, we have dynamic data. So we decided to go for server-side rendering and then mix a little bit of both. Server-side rendering, what is it? With server-side rendering, the website is fully rendered on the server. This was the usual way to go, and this is how technologies like PHP, WordPress, or in our case, Node currently work. So every time that the website loads, the entire page is requested by the browser to the server. And then in this case, it's the opposite at the client side render. In this case, the first load can be fast, but overall, so you forget about the famous initial load spinner. But anyway, as you have to make a lot of full load requests, performance overall can be affected. It's a good approach if you have a website with a lot of static content. That was our case. And if you work with JavaScript and Node, you can also have the chance to use template engine. So what we decided is to go with this. The problem was the following. We were using Firebase Hosting, right? And with Firebase Hosting at that moment, we were like, okay, but we were using Firebase Hosting for static data. Are we gonna be able to actually put dynamic content in the server side? Yeah, that was my face. Like, are we gonna be able, or we need to do things from scratch again? Okay, so definitely, yes, it was possible because right now, Firebase Hosting enables to have server-side rendering and using cloud functions in order to do that. I will explain you how. So this was our final stack of technologies that we use for this web app. Let me show you. For the front end, we use plain CSS. Again, our team is related with how to use tools for the web. So we try to keep things simple, the most simple as possible. For the front end, we use plain CSS, a library that is called One UI CSS. We didn't use any framework, just simple and beautiful vanilla JavaScript and HTML, of course. And in the backend, we use Node and then Express. We use cloud functions with Express, and I will tell you why and how. And then for hosting, we use Firebase. So this was our first approach for this MVP. So if you have your architecture ready, let's see how it should be before applying server-side rendering with Firebase. So we already know, let me give you an example of how is the structure of your web app. You're gonna probably have the following: an index.html. If you're using Node, you're gonna have your app.js style and then an index.js with your JavaScript in the front end. But again, in this case, we were trying to put our stuff in the backend. So what you're gonna do is the following. In this case, first of all, you need to install your Firebase tools and then add Firebase functions. We're not gonna focus into that. If you want more info about that, I will give you some resources at the end. But once that you have your cloud functions added, your directory of folders and files in your web app is gonna look something like this. You're gonna have functions, and then inside you're gonna have that index.js, which this is a file that we will use to do our server-side rendering and call the endpoints using Node. So again, this is a friendly environment for those who knows JavaScript. So that's the file that we will use. And then in my case, I use a public folder. So this will be, let's say, like the client side with all our CSS, assets, and JavaScript. And this is how you got your structure. So let's see how you can serve your dynamic content with Firebase. It's pretty simple. Maybe you think like it's complex, but it's not at all. So let's see some code. Do you remember that I told you that you will see your index.js file? Yeah, that's the file that you need to check. So in this case, what I did is I used some external libraries like Express. Of course, I used Node Fetch because I was using Fetch for calling our endpoints. I found it super easy and simple to use. Besides that, that's the first thing that we have, calling all our libraries in our index.js file. And this is where the fun part begins. Let me explain a little bit. Just to give you an idea, you can do this. It's very simple. And in this case, to call our endpoints, I was using await and fetch. And I was creating these calls, and then I was sending the data with Express, and I was completely able to use the external endpoints. Not any problem with security at all. Everything fine. So you're probably wondering, wait, where are the cloud functions? Is that it? Is that just the only thing that we need? So there's a line that is the one that you really need to check, and this is the last one. This last line is the one that would allow you to export the Express.js app as an HTTPS function. So that's your cloud function in this case. So you can have whatever endpoints that you want, and then at the end of the day, export the Express.js app as an HTTPS function, and that's it. Alrighty, so you're probably wondering, really? Is that it? Like, no complex thing at all? You probably, you have this face currently now. So no, there's a trick that I have to tell you. And actually, to use cloud functions, you need to put a credit card there, even though you're not gonna have any expenses to start using those ones. You need to have and put a credit card there. Yeah, you probably right now change your face to this one, but I have good news. Also to avoid that credit card. I mean, not avoid if you wanted to production, if you wanted to use it in production, but there's a solution that actually can help you to test this MVP. And this is called the local emulator in Firebase. And they have available different features of Firebase so you can test it locally. Like storage emulator, in fact, cloud functions, and so on. This is a really good solution. So instead of putting yourself in production and just wait for the data, or keep in mind how it's gonna be the build, you can test everything locally first. So that's something that we did. Besides that, to sum up what we did for our web app, we also integrate analytics. With Firebase Analytics, you can use the web platform too, because again, we need to show, in that moment, we needed to show that our web app is gonna be used around the world, and we need to have some useful information to show. So we were able to integrate with Google Analytics, and these were some of our data. Actually, we were able to see where our web app was used and which are the current features that the users were doing with our web app. So thanks to this, our MVP was successful. Very happy to the final results, and especially because this talk is also a reminder that you can do great things with tech. You can use tech for good. And this product is gonna be launched in November. also with the actual global goals team. So very excited about that. And again, this is, besides using analytics, this is also another reminder for you that there are plenty of advanced tools that can help you accelerate the creation process of your product, like Firebase. Don't hesitate to try them. And also another reminder that you can build modern and advanced web apps, like using server-side render or even a progressive web app with the current Firebase capabilities. Alrighty, if you like this type of content, I'm probably going to share a lot of resources. We're gonna even, if you want to do your own server-side rendering with just vanilla JavaScript, please subscribe, because soon you're gonna have some news about some other workshops that I've been doing. I will be doing here in this channel, and some other videos where I will extend more about everything that we did in this project. So yeah, I hope that, wow, a new friend here. Okay, so thank you so much for having me, and I hope that you have fun in the rest of the summit. Thank you so much. Enjoy.